So our receivers, there's couple different ways you can make a receiver. One from a piece of billet, and what that means is if you have a square block, fixture it up in a machine, you run a program, and it cuts out what you need it to cut out. It is a way to build an upper or lower receiver, or just any manufacturing process, but oftentimes you have a lot of wasted material, a lot of material when you purchase it by the weight. And if you got a square block that has to cover this size, that's a lot of waste. And it could be potentially a lot of machine time, extra machine time, waste that you'll never really be able to reclaim. Whereas forgings, it's a process where you take a piece of material, it's typically, say something like this, the size of like a Coca-Cola can, thereabouts. And you have you have one side of the die and another side of the die that don't mirror each other, but they're different. You put that Coca-Cola can and it comes down and gives you a rough forging. When that forging happens, it also aligns the grain in the material, in the receiver. Forgings are typically stronger than billet. Billet, you can make things a little thicker and get away with it, which can, arguably make something just as strong as a forging, but we don't have the waste. So these are forged. The first die that you put it in is what they call a rough die, and it'll get a fairly near net shape of what we see here. This is a Mod 2 forging. Typically a mill standard forging won't have all of this right here. It's because we have a forged in trigger guard. Then it goes to a finished die, which is you just pick it off that one, put it on another one, comes down again, stamps both sides, and then you get a little bit more of a near net shape. And then you have something called a flashing die. In a flashing die, you can see all the little ribs in the material. That's what's called flashing. It squirts out, kind of like if you push down on a piece of silly putty, it squirts out, and it just cuts all that stuff away. Then from there, it goes to temper, and from there, it goes to the machine shop. You can buy an upper, you can buy all the accessories. Those aren't serialized. This is your serialized portion. This is what ATF says is the firearm of the weapon. So yeah, this is where you guys are going to start launching detents and pins. So for you at home, if you're doing this, it's always a really good idea to either do it in a super sterile environment, so if you launch something you can find it, or have extra springs and detents. Otherwise you may spend hours looking for a detent or a spring. And it happens. I mean, it happens to everyone. And I'm sure it's going to happen to you guys, and we're all going to laugh about it. So to install the mag catch, take the mag catch, drop it in position like so, roll it over, you're supporting it with your other finger, drop the spring in, and take your mag catch button and start it by just rotating it until it kind of stops on the receiver. I pull, rotate. I'm going to check where I am. I don't want this too proud because I don't want to accidentally deploy it when I don't need to. Pull on it so you're not scratching your anodize to where the end of that bar is fairly flush with the button itself. And check it. A lot of times you take a magazine, Magpul magazine. Oh, look, clear and clear. Actually, those go well together. Make sure it'll drop free.
Good.
Pull brand whatever off the shelf. Have them go shoot it, and then have them shoot their Hodge defense gun. Because if they're just shooting their Hodge defense gun, they're going to be like, yeah, this is what it feels like. Okay. No, dog. Do a side-by-side comparison. They're going to be able to tell a tuned rifle to a non-tuned rifle right away. They understand what goes into it and maybe not take it for granted. When it's okay to go buy one off the shelf somewhere, but when you roll your own, you have a little bit more of an intimate relationship with your gun in the way of knowing why. And hopefully you create an advocate for it as a company. But for them, maybe we created a monster in a positive way of someone that is going to contribute to the industry, and they're going to keep the industry strong. And the more that these guys get into it and they start nerding out and they start competing or hunting with their rifles or using it for self-defense or whatever they may use it for, hopefully we trigger something in them and they end up with 3, 4, 5 of them and continues to feed the industry and prop it up, which is their Second Amendment right to do. Next thing we're going to do is put the receiver extension on. We use 7075 impact extruded receiver extensions. These are supplied by Kratos Designs, and it's very well made, very, very well made. So I put the castle nut on first. The Magpul receiver plate. Drop it in, and here's my subassembly, basically. I then take the lower receiver takedown pin with the groove facing towards the back of the hole up here, or towards you directly. I'm going to go ahead and put that in. We have our spring, we have our detent for our buffer. I'll get this started. And I am going to rotate this to where I need it, which is basically the lip of this to the top point of that buffer retaining pin. Now, how are we going to get our spring in? Pretty simple. Again, the pin's in, just rotate it a little bit off, drop the pin on, push the spring down without launching it, drop the plate, and tighten it up.
Mm-hmm. Drop that in spring first or
Viola.
spring first or
We have custom dies for the Mod 2 for both the upper and lower. And yeah, I mean, our material on our upper and on our Mod 2 rather is a different material. Most mill standard receivers are built out of an alloy called 7075. It's a great alloy. It's an alloy that's been used a long time. But we use an alloy by Arconic called C405, which is still a 7000 series derivative of 7075. But our alloys are about 40% stronger. And you can say, well, you know, how do you measure that? You can measure strength in alloys a bunch of different ways. But if you were to bring everything together, it's roughly about 40% stronger mass to weight as 7075. The process of making this is interesting, and it's interesting to learn about. Lord knows I have. I've started to nerd out on the process and where it comes from, where it starts, and the raw alloys and into a finished product is kind of what I'm starting to nerd out on. And it's, again, the process of manufacturing is interesting. The supply chain aspect of that is interesting. And with additive manufacturing, laser sintering, kind of the same thing. Yeah, that's going to open up Pandora's box for this industry in a good way, as far as doing stuff. You know, we see it suppressors now, doing stuff that we never thought we can do before. And I'm working on things like that for my platforms. So I'm totally embracing that, and crazy alloys that is overkill on these systems, but maybe a little overkill. We can start thinking about higher pressure ammunition, higher velocities, things that run a little harder on the gun because we have the componentry built using the right alloys to handle those pressures. I think the more people nerd out on this and the process of it, maybe those people that nerd out on it are going to come up with solutions and better ideas to even make it better. So it is an exciting time. Do some research on where it all begins from, you know, where it all starts from, and you'll be amazed. And you probably have a whole new appreciation for the platform, even though This whole thing started in the mid-1950s. To where it is today, a lot has changed, a lot of it has stayed the same, but the process of it all is interesting.